When love turns into manipulation, when whispered promises hide hidden agendas, is it possible to forgive? I used to believe that love was enough. That trust was the foundation of any relationship, and if you truly loved someone, there was no need for formalities like contracts or legal safeguards. Love, I thought, should be unconditional, pure, and free of doubt. That's why, when Ryan first brought up the idea of a marriage contract, I laughed. If you love me, you don't need a marriage contract, I had said, my voice light and teasing. I expected him to smile, maybe pull me into his arms and tell me he was just being practical. Instead, he hesitated, his expression unreadable. It's not about love, Lily, he said after a pause. It's about security. About making sure we both go into this with a clear understanding. I had scoffed. We already understand each other, Ryan. We've been together for 3 years. We're getting married because we trust each other. He didn't push the subject again after that. And I took that as a victory. I thought I had won, that love had triumphed over legalities. But now, as I stand in our living room, watching him pack his bags with slow, deliberate movements, I realize just how foolish I had been. He's leaving. Not in anger, not in the heat of an argument. Just, leaving. I feel frozen in place, my heart pounding. Ryan, please, I whisper, my voice barely audible over the sound of the zipper closing his suitcase. He looks up at me, his eyes tired, but not cruel. I warned you, Lily. I shake my head, unable to process his words. You warned me about what? He sighs, running a hand through his hair. About what would happen if we weren't on the same page. About what I needed to feel secure. But you wouldn't hear me. You thought love was enough. He exhales sharply. But love isn't a shield, Lily. It doesn't protect us from reality. I feel a sharp sting in my chest. So you're walking away from me because I didn't want to sign some stupid contract? My voice rises, cracking at the edges. He shakes his head. It's not just about that. It's about trust. You didn't trust me enough to even consider my concerns. I ignored it at first, convinced myself it didn't matter. But it does. Because if we couldn't agree on something as fundamental as protecting our future, what else are we going to fight about down the road? Tears blur my vision, but I refuse to let them fall. This isn't fair, I whisper. His gaze softens for a moment, and for just a second, I think he might change his mind. But then he picks up his bag, slinging it over his shoulder. Maybe it's not, he says. But it's what's best. And just like that, he's gone. I stand there in the deafening silence, staring at the empty space where he had been. The man I loved, the future I had envisioned, vanished in an instant. And the worst part? I had thought I was proving my love by refusing to sign that contract. Instead, I had just given him a reason to walk away. I don't know how long I stand there after Ryan leaves. Minutes? Hours? Time feels meaningless when your entire world collapses in a single moment. The silence of the apartment feels suffocating, pressing down on me like a weight I can't lift. I should call him. Tell him I made a mistake, that I'll sign whatever damn papers he wants. But my pride, my stupid, stubborn pride, keeps my hands at my sides. I was right, wasn't I? Love should have been enough. My body finally catches up with my emotions, and I stagger toward the couch, collapsing onto it as the first sob rips from my throat. I press my hands to my face, as if I can physically push away the pain, but it seeps through my fingers, hot and uncontrollable. Why did this happen? How did it all unravel so quickly? And then, something gnaws at the edges of my mind. Ryan had always been careful with his words, controlled in a way that used to make me admire him. But now, replaying our last conversation, something feels off. It's about trust. You didn't trust me enough to even consider my concerns. Not our concerns. His concerns. A prickle of unease crawls up my spine. I sit up, wiping at my wet cheeks, my mind racing. I had always assumed his request for a marriage contract was just a practical decision, a precaution. But what if it was something more? What exactly had he wanted me to sign? My heart pounds as I scramble to my feet and rush to the desk in the corner of the room. My hands shake as I yank open the drawers, rifling through the papers inside. Bills, receipts, a few of my old journals, but nothing about a contract. Then I spot his laptop on the desk. Still here. A mistake on his part. I hesitate for only a second before flipping it open. Ryan never let me use his computer. It was one of those unspoken rules between us, one I had never questioned, until now. The password screen blinks at me mockingly, but my fingers move on their own. His birthday. Denied. My birthday. Denied. I bite my lip, thinking. Then I type in Reynolds Corp. The screen unlocks. A chill washes over me. Ryan had always been secretive about his job at Reynolds Corporation. He worked in finance, something about acquisitions and investments, but the details had always been vague. I had never pushed for answers. Now, I wish I had. I open his documents, scanning the file names. Most seem unimportant: financial reports, spreadsheets, business memos, until I see one labeled, Marriage Agreement, Lily and Ryan. I click on it. The document opens, and as my eyes skim the words, my breath catches in my throat. This wasn't just a standard prenup. It was a transfer of assets agreement. Everything I owned, my savings, my investments, even my small inheritance from my grandmother, would have been placed under Ryan's control the moment we married. Any future earnings I made would be considered joint assets, with his authority over them. And if we ever divorced? I'd walk away with nothing. A cold, sinking dread settles in my stomach. This wasn't about love. It had never been about love. Ryan had been planning this from the start. I lean back in the chair, my hands trembling as I stare at the screen. The realization stings. Ryan had left because I didn't sign the contract. Because I didn't give him what he wanted. Because I refused to become his asset. And suddenly, something else occurs to me. He left so quickly. No argument, no last attempt to change my mind. As if leaving had been his backup plan all along. I pull up his emails and start searching. And that's when I see it. An email from someone named Elena Mathers. The subject line reads, "Everything is ready. We can move forward." I click. The message is brief but clear. Ryan. Now that things are settled, the funds have been transferred as agreed. You know where to meet me. We're finally free of her. Elena. The room spins. Ryan didn't just leave me. He had been planning this all along, with someone else. I feel sick, my stomach twisting painfully. I clutch the edge of the desk, trying to steady myself as the betrayal crashes over me in waves. He had used me. Lied to me. Tried to trap me. And when that failed, he had simply walked away, straight into someone else's arms. I slammed the laptop shut, my breath coming in short, ragged bursts. No. I refuse to be the naive woman who let this happen to her. Ryan may have walked away, thinking he had won. Thinking he had outmaneuvered me. But he was wrong. Because now, I knew the truth. And I wasn't going to let him get away with it. I don't sleep that night. I spend hours staring at the ceiling, my mind replaying every moment with Ryan, dissecting his words, his actions, the way he had slowly, methodically worked to position me exactly where he wanted me. The way I had been so blindly in love that I never saw it coming. By the time the sun rises, my grief has burned away, leaving only cold, simmering rage. Ryan thought he could walk away clean. He thought I would cry and move on, none the wiser. He was wrong. I get dressed with mechanical efficiency, pulling on jeans and a sweater. My hands are steady now, my purpose clear. The first step is finding a lawyer. A good one. I do a quick search and make a few calls before settling on Angela Carter, a high-profile attorney known for handling cases involving fraud, financial disputes, and corporate corruption. If there's something deeper to Ryan's scheme, I want someone who can tear it apart piece by piece. I call her office. Carter and Associates, how may I help you? A crisp voice answers. Yes, I need to make an urgent appointment with Angela Carter. It's a matter of financial fraud and potential corporate misconduct. There's a pause, then, Ms. Carter has an opening at noon. Can you make it? I'll be there. I close my eyes, exhaling slowly. This is it. The beginning of the end for Ryan. Angela Carter is exactly what I need her to be, sharp, direct, and absolutely ruthless. She listens without interrupting as I lay everything out, the marriage contract Ryan wanted me to sign, his abrupt departure, the email from Elena Mathers, and his deep ties to Reynolds Corporation. When I'm done, she leans back in her chair, tapping a pen against her desk. Lily, she says finally, I don't think this is just a personal betrayal. This smells like something bigger. I frown. What do you mean? She steeples her fingers. Ryan was planning a financial play using you as leverage. That contract? It was designed to make you financially dependent on him. The fact that he walked away when you refused tells me that you were never his endgame, you were a tool. And now, this email from Elena Mathers? She shakes her head. She said, the funds have been transferred as agreed. That means money is already in motion. A chill runs down my spine. Angela leans forward, her blue eyes sharp. We need evidence. Real evidence. Bank statements, business dealings, anything connecting Ryan and Reynolds Corp to fraudulent activity. I swallow hard. How do we get that? Angela smirks. You still have his laptop, don't you? I nod. Good, she says. Because we're about to dig into Ryan Reynolds like never before. That evening, I sit in Angela's office as her forensic investigator. A wiry man named Mark sifts through Ryan's laptop. His fingers move swiftly over the keyboard, bypassing security measures, decrypting files, and uncovering hidden folders. There's something here, Mark mutters. A lot of encrypted files. Looks like financial transactions routed through multiple accounts. Angela leans over his shoulder. Can you trace them? Already on it. Minutes pass. Then. Bingo. Mark turns the laptop around, revealing a series of wire transfers. Large sums of money moving between shell companies, offshore accounts, and... I suck in a breath. Ryan's name is on some of them. So is Elena Mathers. And so is Reynolds Corporation. Angela whistles low. Well. Looks like your ex-fiancé was involved in some serious white-collar crime. I stare at the screen, my pulse pounding. What does this mean? Angela's expression hardens. It means that Ryan and Elena weren't just scamming you, they were likely laundering money through your assets. That's why he needed the marriage contract. If you had signed it, your funds would have been absorbed into this operation, making it harder to trace the fraud back to them. I feel sick. Mark scrolls down. And here's the real kicker, Reynolds Corporation is preparing for an acquisition. They're buying out a smaller competitor, but these transactions suggest insider trading. Someone at Reynolds is manipulating stock values. Angela turns to me, her face unreadable. Lily, this is much bigger than Ryan. This is corporate crime on a high level. And if we play this right, we can bring them down. I swallow the lump in my throat. What do we do next? Angela's eyes gleam with determination. First, we secure these files as evidence. Then, we take this to the SEC and the FBI. If Ryan is involved, he'll go down for fraud, money laundering, and potentially racketeering. I nod slowly, my heart hammering. And what about Elena? Angela smirks. Oh, don't worry. We'll take care of her too. With Angela's guidance, I send Ryan a message. Ryan, I've been thinking. I don't want to end things this way. Let's talk. Meet me tomorrow night at the hotel where we had our first anniversary dinner. I just need closure. It's bait. And I know he'll take it. The next night, I sit at a dimly lit hotel bar, my fingers wrapped around a glass of wine I don't intend to drink. Ryan walks in, smooth as ever, dressed in a tailored suit, his expression unreadable. I force a smile. Thank you for coming. He sits across from me, studying my face. I was surprised to hear from you. I tilt my head, pretending to be hesitant. I needed to understand why you left. Ryan sighs. Lily, I told you. I cut him off. Was it because of Elena? He stiffens. What? I lean in, lowering my voice. I know, Ryan. About the money. About Reynolds Corporation. About the transfers. I meet his gaze with cold determination. I know everything. A flicker of panic crosses his face, but he masks it quickly. Lily, I don't know what you think you found, but... I slide a USB drive across the table. This is going to the SEC, the FBI, and every regulatory body that deals with corporate fraud. Ryan's jaw tightens. You don't want to do this. I smile, but there's no warmth in it. Oh, but I do. The doors to the bar swing open. Two men in suits walk in, flashing badges. Ryan Carter, one of them says, stepping forward. You're under arrest for fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit insider trading. Ryan's face drains of color. Lily, you. I stand up, looking down at him one last time. You shouldn't have underestimated me. As the agents cuff him and lead him away, I finally exhale, feeling lighter than I have in months. This isn't just justice. This is revenge.